Hey everyone, we're back. How are you?
Hello.
Coming in live. You've got Dr. Heidi and Kelly. How are you?
How is everyone? Thanks for joining us.
It's so fun to be here with you guys. And apparently it's Kelly and friends that are joining me, if you guys can see in the background. I never had this before, and maybe they find comfort with being with us. I'm not exactly sure, but here we are on Get Well Wednesday. We are ready to have some fun, bring a little joy into your life, and give you just some quick actionable nuggets of your health that you can walk away with.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we're here for. We want to help you. And this time I'm going to throw it back on Kelly and have her introduce herself first.
Oh my gosh. Okay. And you know what else I found, Heidi, as I'm like unpacking and organizing? I found our little cards.
I
Remember,
was thinking about those the other
I
day.
started with it. Okay, you guys. So I will introduce myself. In case you missed it, about a month ago, Heidi and I both answered the question of which personal achievement are you most proud of? The second card is which moment would you most like to relive? Ooh.
Ooh.
Okay, we're gonna keep that one. I want you guys to think about that. But let me introduce myself. My name is Kelly Lupsha. I've been in the health and wellness field for like 28 years. I love what I do. I love helping people. I grew up as a scholar athlete. Believe it or not, my father wanted me to be a doctor, and initially was so disappointed that that's not the route I wanted to go. But 30, 40, 50 years ago, if you wanted to help people and you were going to be in medicine, well, you'd be a doctor. That's what it was.
Yep.
And I'm so glad that I followed my heart. I followed my path, that I could serve people as a physical therapist, as a health and wellness coach, promoting longevity. And here we are now. That who knew? Like, now there's titles of jobs you can make up anything and everything. Didn't even exist 2 years ago, let alone like 40 and 50 years ago, right?
Right.
So I continue to absolutely want to learn. I'm so curious, an avid reader, learner. So I can help you even more and more. Women's health is where Heidi and I get super excited, because we've been through the journey as we've been aging. And what's really cool is your actual biological age. It's just like, okay, well, yeah, you may be 51, 61, whatever quote, right, is the clock says, but truly on the inside, you don't have to be that way. But you just need to know the small, simple habits that affect you. And especially later on at a different talk and time, when Heidi and I talk about your unique blueprint of knowing your DNA, when you know your roadmap and you can make, I can't even say changes, but you can map it according to you and follow that map, you'll be amazed at how you feel and what you can do and the longevity you can bring. So we do that inside our women's programs. We also have a program specifically for that people bring their spouses and their kids and everything, because they want to know, wow, if I knew my roadmap, how easy my health journey would be. Don't wait till you're sick. Find your roadmap to stay well. Truly. So happy to be here, everybody. So grateful. And Dr. Heidi.
Yeah. So those of you who don't know me, I'm Heidi Ratzibal. I'm an ND and functional medicine trained. I've been in practice well over 22 years, something like this. I think I really need to look at that number, because I've been saying 20 years for 20 years, forever, because I've always been interested in health. As an athlete, that's how I got into the health and wellness world. I was constantly looking for the best ways to improve my performance, improve my technique with diet, lifestyle changes, et cetera, and went to Europe, was on the women's professional bicycle racing team with Jeannie Longo, the world champion. And it was with her and with the French idea of medicine that brought me an awareness of other modalities, acupuncture, homeopathy, herbs, herbology, these kinds of things that can really bring more health and robust lifestyle to people. And so when I came down to retire, I thought that I want to share this with everyone I can. I want to do this for a living to help people have a vitality that they never imagined, and how they can tweak their diet, their lifestyle just a bit to find the optimal self. And so pairing up with Kelly, doing the women's programs and now having the ability to do a DNA blueprint is just phenomenal information and phenomenal tools for us to help the people that we want to help. And that's our whole goal here. So hopefully we bring that to you in little bits on Wednesdays.
Oh, absolutely. Oh my gosh. Okay, we're going to give you a preview on, we've got a big webinar tonight, and it's really about you understanding much more in depth about gut health and how the gut reacts, because many people are talking about, oh, I take a probiotic, I drink my kombucha, I'm good with gut health. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And so it's become too common. So people just think they know, but unfortunately, then it becomes, you think you know it, but you don't know it, or you don't know what's happening and why, and what you need to know to either fix what's going on or prevent something in the future what's going on, because the gut is the key. Truly, the gut is the key to, optimal health, right, Heidi? I mean,
Yeah,
it really, really is.
yeah.
So, I mean, I hear all the time, what probiotic should my kid be on? What probiotic should I take? Or I take a probiotic, or why do I even need a probiotic? So maybe before we even get into pre and probiotics, let's just talk about the gut in general, and why is it that the health of the gut makes everything else better?
Yeah. Everything starts in the gut. Everything happens there. Everything we eat, we breathe, it all comes down. We just have two holes at the end of a pipe, and the stopping ground, the sampling, the assessing, the deciding where to go, what to do, where to put it, how to absorb it, all happens in the gut. And that activity is in part mostly controlled by the microorganisms in our gut and the diversity of those microorganisms. And those microorganisms decide those things. They sample the food, they sample the bacteria, they sample these things to say that should be here, that should not. And they do this deciding there. And that's where everything starts, including our brain health, our functions of our neurotransmitters and how they can get utilized in our brain. Is all dependent on the condition, the integrity of our gut.
So one of the things that I hear a lot of people throw around is like, oh, I have gut issues, I have leaky gut. But I think people might not understand like what is a leaky gut, and even if you have it, why does it matter? And why are people having leaky gut today when maybe leaky gut wasn't really around 20, 30 years ago? Because certainly all of a sudden it is a much hot topic now. But I think if you go back 10 years ago, it'd be very little written on leaky gut. I don't even know if that term was around.
Yeah. So many questions in that one.
Choo, 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 fire, 1, 2, 3.
But this is why, Kelly and I talked about, what's the title of this? Is your gut engine check on, is your human body engine check light on, right? And what is it? In our car, it's our little tire pressure thing. But we drive around for a long time with that little thing on, don't we? Because we go around, we look at the tires and go, they look fine to me, right? We get a little more worried when the actual engine light turns on, but we don't always race to the store to see what's been happening, right? The gut is very much the same way. What are the little icons? What are the symbols that our gut tells us that, hey, something's not right here, I'm not functioning optimally? And you'll be surprised to know that those things are bloating, gas, indigestion, ulcers, constipation, diarrhea, joint pain, swelling, overall body puffiness, allergies increasing, depression, anxiety increasing. These are all our dashboard signs saying our microbiomes are not balanced, we don't have enough diversity, our mucosal linings are getting thinner, and things are leaking into those barriers. Those barriers are highly, highly organized, and they are meant to be tight junction barriers.
You guys, I mean, imagine, right? Like you've got a fence out there and a brand new fence, everything is lined up perfectly and nothing can get through. But through weather and age and dogs jumping on them and whatever, all of a sudden you've got some holes in your fence, or one of the posts is going sideways, and it creates space. So now, maybe people can peek through, maybe your dog or animals can get through, but over time, those junctions just don't stay as tight. And then that starts creating big problems.
Yeah. And it's not just over time. It's because if you're eating a diverse diet, if you're getting plenty of vegetables and plenty of good probiotics and prebiotics, etc., that fence is going to stay good all year. That fence is going to stay good forever, right? It will get breached, but it will come back together. It will sway with the wind and maybe get a little pale, but it'll come back together because
You
it
get
has.
the flu, you have to take an antibiotic, things might create that, and then it returns
Exactly.
in a
But
healthy
when it
environment.
really gets breached open and the dogs are running through, peeing on the neighbors, but petunias, and they're mad at you, and it can wreak havoc. And it doesn't just stay in your neighborhood. That's the thing, is it's traveling. You can get what they call endotoxemia, which is the bad bacteria becomes a more dominant species instead of the good probiotics and good prebiotics. And those negative bacteria called LPS can get into our cells, wreak havoc. They're very pervasive. They can leak into our brain barrier. Because they like fatty tissue, our brain is a very interesting target for them, because our brain is very fatty. And so the LPSs attach themselves in there. They interfere with the serotonin and dopamine, not so much the binding, but the utilization of the serotonin and dopamine. They interfere with the conversion of, say, tryptophan to serotonin and these kinds of things. So this is why when you have leaky gut, it can shows up more often than not as a stomach ache, but as a brain ache, brain fog, anxiety goes up, depression goes up, just fatigue overall goes up, poor cognitive abilities. And we chalk it up to getting old, but this is a check engine light, right?
Yeah, or you chalk it up to getting, I just have not been sleeping well.
Right.
Oh, I need to get more sleep.
Exactly.
But no, you're having poor sleep because of all of this.
Exactly. Our body will always let us know what's going on in there, right? If everything's good and optimal, we're healthy. If we get a little cold, we get over it quickly. We can work out hard and recover the next day. We're sleeping well, we're waking up rested. This is a good functioning engine, right? We get in that car and we go. Anything less than that is something to pay attention to. But here's where we can really, really kind of just start to dial it in, is get those prebiotics, get those probiotics, not just any old one. Really go out and research. Look at the different options out there for probiotics and companies that's what their focus is. Not just, everyone's doing a probiotic. Yeah.
Yeah, let me just take one off the shelf, right? We're going to dig a little deeper into that tonight, you guys. So if you do want more, then we're going to be doing an actual webinar to talk about the different strains and why. But maybe, Heidi, you can just say, like, okay, just maybe list the 3 biggest things that tend to destroy the gut, that lead to this leaky gut, which leads to leaky brain, leaky joints, leaky everything, right? That I think some people have no idea, or they just think, because I'm not gluten-free, or, I don't eat well, so I must have gut problems. It's even more than that.
Yeah, it's even more than that. It is partially what you eat. And here's one of the big things, is that if you do eat a food, let's say you were told go gluten-free. And I often get people coming in and go, well, I only cheat maybe once a week. But here's what the research shows, is that if you have leaky gut, if you have inflammation and you eat that food that you're already sensitive to or have a reaction to, it can take you up to 3 to 4 weeks to recover from that one meal. So it really hasn't recovered by the time you eat that same meal in another time next week, right? So it's that ongoing onslaught of activity and inflammation that puts pressure on those barriers, and they begin to weaken and become breached, and then the mucosal lining starts to thin. And that's when we get chronic sinusitis, chronic upper respiratory issues. It's all related. It's all how the immune system signals. Stress is another big one. Just thinking stressful thoughts loads the system with cortisol, and cortisol is a very tough molecule hitting against, if you can imagine a serene lake up in the mountain and a huge rock or meteorite comes and lands in it, all that water is going to spew everywhere. It's going to have a huge impact. That's very much what cortisol does to the linings and the barriers of our body. It bangs up against them and really struggles. And if we have leaky gut, it just breaks them open.
I mean, Heidi, this is wild, because I'm going to use an aging woman as an example, right? Let's just say you're a 52-year-old woman and you're not feeling well. You have a little bit of anxiety and depression. You're not sleeping well. You've gained a little weight. You're kind of struggling. You're overtraining. And your gut's, maybe you don't even think you have anything wrong with your gut, right? But you're just like not right. Your energy's low. And you're just like, oh, I'm just getting older. I think it's my hormones. So then you go on this quest to try to fix your hormones. You go to a doctor, you even test your hormones. They may even change and give you some hormones. Great. But with your stress and everything else you're doing, you never fix the root cause. The root cause is your gut lining, your root cause is this leaky gut. And so it's not normal. You may be more predisposed because you have so much going on in your life, your stress is getting higher, but you have to think, okay, let me take and dial all that down, and let me do one thing and the next thing and the next thing, little by little, to change some lifestyle habits and see where my gut lands. Because
Exactly.
I can tell you, for me in high school and college, I had gut issues. They would test me and they'd be like, I don't know why she has stomach ache. I don't know why she always feels like this. But I will tell you, is I was a high performer. I always wanted to do well. I had that, I put it upon myself. Now I can look back and go, it was that overloaded stress and high performance that I'm sure was giving me gut issues. But no doctor ever talked about that.
Yeah.
They
And to your point, did anyone ever talk about leaky gut? Naturopaths have been talking about leaky gut for ages.
okay.
And were dismissed because most of the doctors said you can't prove it, that there is such a thing. You're just talking woo-woo medicine. It's crazy. And then maybe it was 2000, maybe before that, Dr. Visano, I believe he's at Stanford University, was able to measure. He figured out what is the measurable item called zonulins, occludins, and actins. Actually, it's zonulin, actins, and occludins. That if there's a certain number that should circulate, because these are the nails to those barriers, holding those barriers tight and together, right? And if there's a lot of those zonulins and actins in our bloodstream, the barriers are being breached, they're being destroyed. So what he figured out was the way to measure if these barriers are losing their integrity. And that solidified, all the naturopaths were like, we've been telling you for years. But to their credit, we couldn't prove it. As naturopaths, we couldn't prove it. And now we have a measurable, but there's still Western doctors that don't believe it. But this doctor is one of the greatest gastrointestinal researchers of our time, discovered it. So it was on the radar. It just, we couldn't prove it with a test to say, see, it's happening.
And I think really, I would even say the past 20 years, if not, 30 to 40 years, if you were a doctor and today you're, I don't know, I'm going to call you 70 or 80 or above, the knowledge of even like neurotransmitters that were formed in the gut, like they didn't even know, we just didn't have the knowledge back then, or the testing or the research capability or the whatever. And the world has changed so vast, so fast, so quick with technology, that it's coming that for many of us that are in our lane in however we're practicing, we can't even get our grasp on everything new that's happening. So I never want to discount anybody, although now knowing it is very critical that we now can stay up on more current literature, because we can just help everybody get better faster.
Absolutely. Yeah. And knowing how to read which science is really good science and which is, that test really wasn't as great. that's the key, and how to sifting through that. But we have so much more knowledge today about how the body functions, and even the importance of the microbiome, right back to where we started here, that it is the microorganisms that really are the controllers, the signalers. We are just one big vessel of bacteria that are signaling all these functions in the body to work, to protect us, to help us to thrive and make these decisions for us. So load it up with the things that feed the good ones and crowd out the bad ones. Don't wait till you're sick, because it just makes it harder to get that balance back.
Okay, you guys, this is phenomenal. And again, we're going to give you a deeper dive even tonight, but I want to leave you with a couple actionable tips. So if you think you might have leaky gut, Heidi, what would be the one thing that they should either go to their doctor and ask for, or a certain test, or what they should do themselves to kind of feel like, is that what's going on with me?
Yeah, if you think you have a leaky gut, and if you have bloating, gas, joint swelling, headaches, fatigue, you have leaky gut. I'm just telling you right now. I do like the test, because as a practitioner, we can see where are we starting? Like, and how bad is this? And so how
Right.
long is it going to take? But really what you can do is really clean up your diet. Just
Yeah.
start there, right? Go right way down to the basics, just chicken, fish, and veg. No alcohol, no nuts and seeds. Even though these things are good for us, they're hard to break down and digest if you have leaky gut. So just bring it to meat and veg, get some L-glutamine, and take that on an empty stomach twice a day. Get your probiotics and your prebiotics. If a probiotic bloats you or makes you worse, it only means you need more, but you may need to choose a different strand that doesn't do that. Oftentimes when probiotics make someone bloat, it can mean that they have small intestinal overgrowth, which is called SIBO. And that's a whole different set, and you absolutely have to consult an expert in SIBO to get rid of that, because that can be quite difficult to get rid of.
Yes. Oh my gosh, you guys.
Yeah.
So clean up your diet. If you think you have leaky gut, go back to some basics. And how long would you say, Heidi, like a month before they would start to venture, or until they really start feeling better, really?
I'd really say, until you feel better. But it generally will take about a month. It takes about 55 days for the new information to become the norm from a cellular level. So you will start feeling better in a week. You'll think, oh my God, this is amazing. And then you'll have that temptation to cheat. And the minute you cheat or add back in, then, like, oh no, I'm not ready yet. It's like a wound. So if you have a really bad cut or a really bad scrape, you would never just go ripping off the Band-Aid and rub it against the floor. Give it a
This will
minute.
feel great.
Where's that sandpaper? I knew I wanted to do something here. I mean, you want to let it heal. You want to kind of baby it and nurture it. And that's what we're doing with this diet. We're not putting in, big molecules. We're allowing it to heal. That L-glutamine is what helps do that binding and healing that lining again. And then as you feel better, take the food that you've taken out and add them in one at a time. That's where it gets like to be a pain in the patootie, because it's like, oh, I can only do one at a time. Yeah, because you want to know what foods are trigger for you still. So if you took out, nuts and seeds, and you want your almonds back, go ahead and have a handful of almonds every day for 3 days. If you have a reaction on day 1, probably need to take them back out. If you don't have a reaction till day 3, probably means you can have them in, but pretty sparse, maybe once a week kind of thing, not every day.
Yeah.
If you don't have any reaction at all, probably good. Go to the next item and just kind of work through that and see, and give your body a chance to reestablish its microbiome, its alpha diversity, and the barriers are closed, and you start fresh.
Yeah. I mean, you guys, I think the one thing that is so hard for us as humans is we want this instant gratification, right? I spoke about it a little earlier, and you just have to be patient, and you have to wait. And if you follow the exact advice that Dr. Heidi just gave you, you don't need to go to 5 doctors to heal your leaky gut. You have the power to heal it yourself. unless there's something else really going on. But most of us don't want to do that work, don't want to just shrink our diet, don't want to introduce something, so slowly. And we just want it fixed now. If our bodies don't work that way, our bodies are the miracle and they can heal, but they can't heal just tomorrow because you wanted an Amazon package and it got shipped in 4 hours. But the body won't heal in 4 hours. So
Yeah.
So play the long game in your health, play the long game, be patient, be consistent, really work on healing that gut, because ultimately, like we started this whole conversation, is total health really starts with the health of the gut.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my gosh. Well, if you guys want any more information, if you want to join us in the webinar tonight, drop down below webinar. We need to invite you to a private educational Facebook group. So you have to let us know, because it's tonight, 5 p.m. Pacific, 6 Mountain, 7 Central, 8 Eastern. So it's only in a few hours. We'll add you to that group. It's going to be amazing. We're going to have more fun. If you're just like, hey, I can't make it, we can still put you in. You can watch it at a later time in there. And then lastly, if you're just like, what pre or probiotic should I take on just general, right? Drop down, either tag Heidi or I and ask us the question, and we're happy to answer and give you our advice. So
yeah, absolutely.
With that, Get Well Wednesday is a wrap. We love and appreciate you guys. If you found this helpful, then share this with somebody else that you love and care about. And we will see you guys next week.
Take care.
Till then, bye everyone.